I left my lazy and jobless husband for a rich, handsome hunk, but one day, my kids exposed my new boyfriend's other side, with proof I'd never imagined. Kevin? Peter, let's go home. Hurry up. I took my sons to the car. I didn't want them to meet their father. They were laughing and playing on the beach. Everything was fine and calm until I noticed the silhouette of a man. It was my husband Alex, whose very presence annoyed me. Why has he come here? Doesn't he have a job other than following me around? I grumbled. Oh yes, that's why I'd left him. Alex was indeed jobless. He was the laziest man I'd ever seen. Did I forget to mention he was very untidy and never groomed himself? There was no prospect of a happily married life with Alex anymore. I regretted marrying him in the first place. I tried and even emotionally threatened to mend him, but he never changed his ways. Once, I gave him an ultimatum. Look, if you don't find a job and don't learn how to be tidy, I will leave you. Alex took my statement for granted. He thought I was joking, but he was wrong. I took my kids and left the house a week later. I longed to live the life of my dreams, and then I met Gary. After leaving Alex, I thought the dust had finally settled. I moved in with a friend because I had nowhere else to go. My parents were long gone, and our only house was sold to pay the mortgage my late dad left behind. Kevin, my older son, took out a phone Gary had gifted him last week and showed me a picture. What the? I gasped. I started working as a manager in a pub and met Gary, a handsome, rich guy who any girl would blindly want to date. Not that I fell for his good looks, but I loved his sense of humor and those random flirty stares and flattering pickup lines he wooed me with. Gary was single, lived in his huge mansion, and his parents were abroad. And of all the women that regularly visited the pub, he liked me. So I couldn't resist the rich, happy life coming my way. Gary and I started dating. We liked each other, and I told him everything about my bitter past. There was nothing to hide from him, so I introduced my 9- and 8-year-old sons, Kevin and Peter. My sons kept their distance from Gary, but he was delighted to be a part of their lives. We moved in together to Gary's big house. It seemed like a house of fairy tales to me. It was beautiful and tidy, and there were workers for every chore. This was the life I always wanted. This is life. My heart pumped with joy. Gary and I began planning our future together. Then, he introduced me to Amanda. I was a bit taken aback and sighed in relief when he told me she was a college student who was his paying guest. Susan, meet Amanda. She lives in the outdoors, he told me, showing a nice little outhouse a few yards from the main house. Amanda has been staying here the last 2 years. She's a very nice girl. You should hang out with her sometime. I forgot about Amanda and everything else because I was lost in love with Gary. I planned on sending the divorce papers to Alex 3 weeks later because my lawyer was out of town. I could barely wait to marry my boyfriend. What troubled me at times was my kids still loved their father. They wanted to meet him and get back home. Sweethearts, Gary will be your daddy, all right? Look, he has got nice expensive toys and games for you. Appreciate him? Go on, hug daddy. I often told them, but I could sense their disapproval of Gary. They were not ready yet to place him in their father's shoes. Did I make a hasty decision then? 3 weeks passed, and my lawyer told me he was returning. I was the happiest and could no longer wait to serve my annoying ex-husband the reward for his clumsy, lazy attitude. I returned home that evening, impatient to share the good news with Gary. As soon as I entered the gate, I saw my sons beside my car. I was worried and asked, "What happened? Sweethearts, why are you two standing here? Come, let's go inside." Kevin and Peter refused to go in. They opened the car door and asked me to get in. I looked inside and saw our suitcases were stuffed in the trunk. I was confused. What's going on? Why are the suitcases here? I asked. I wanted to go inside, but my sons blocked my way and refused to let me in. I could not understand what was happening. They told me Gary was not inside, and he just left in his car. "Mommy, we have to leave this cheater," my son said. "Cheater, what, Jay?" Kevin, my older son, took out a phone Gary had gifted him last week and showed me a picture. "What the?" I gasped. I could not believe my eyes. It was a picture of Gary and Amanda kissing in the garage near the outhouse. It seemed so intense, and I could picture everything that happened between them following that passionate smooch. That's disgusting. I cried. I was ashamed and hurt. I wanted to throw up, and I did. We saw Gary drive into the outhouse. He never came out for a long time, so we checked through the window. We saw him kissing Amanda and snapped it to show you, said Kevin. Mom, now you believe us. He can never be our daddy. Our daddy might be dirty and jobless, but he is a gem. He never kisses other women. Gary is filthy, added Peter. My boys opened my eyes that day. I sent Gary the picture and captioned it, "Loser, suit yourself and do not bother me again." Pervert. I blocked him and left with my kids. I was shattered and could no longer drive. I did not know where to go. I lost most of my friends after I turned against them for supporting Alex. I was doomed and stranded on the street with my kids. Mom, let's go home with Dad, the boys said. It warmed my heart to hear that. But will your dad forgive me? I doubt it. I was such a lousy wife. I was demanding and failed to understand Alex's loyalty to me. My sons assured me Alex would forgive me and we should go to him. I was skeptical but agreed. It was my last resort, and I was prepared to face his fury. But when I went there, I did not see what I expected. It felt like I had entered a new world. Oh my God. Alex, is this you? I was stunned. Alex answered the door, and he was so happy to see us. But more than him, I was astonished. He had neatly shaved his beard and invited me to come in. I could not look him in the eye. I was so guilty and embarrassed. The kids ran upstairs to their room. I could feel their joy. After all, this was the day they had been waiting for, to reunite with their dad. Can I please stay here until I find a good place somewhere? I asked him. You can stay here as long as you want. This is your home. Alex told me. I wanted to tear up the next second, but forced myself to hold back my tears. I walked around the house, and for a moment, I was amazed. My house did not look how I'd left it. It was orderly and clean. The curtains were changed, and I could smell something delicious being baked. I was just baking some croissants, honey, I heard Alex tell me. I was stupefied, but nothing outdid the next surprise Alex had for me. I'll not be home tonight. I have a night shift and will be back at 4 in the morning, said Alex. I was shocked. I left Alex because he was lazy and jobless and never provided anything for the house. Are you working? I teared up. 2 jobs. I work as a baker during the day and a loader at night. I cannot live without you and the kids. I genuinely wanted you back, and I was ready to do anything. So I changed myself as you wanted, he told me, giving me goosebumps of joy. What are you waiting for? Go, my conscience shouted out loud. I ran and threw myself in Alex's arms. I hugged him and cried. I'm sorry, honey, I kept saying. When he returned home from work the following day, I surprised him with a rich breakfast, including his favorite pancakes with maple syrup. After so many days, the dust had indeed finally settled. My sons and husband were happy again, and nothing could stop me from secretly shedding tears of joy. I love my family, and I realize that every household has problems. But issues could be quickly sorted and lead us to happiness, only if we choose not to walk out on each other.